Welcome to the Unapologetically Neurodivergent podcast, where we drop the mask, drop the shame, and say the things no one ever gives us permission to say out loud. Hi, I'm James, a fitness and mind coach, and today I'm joined by Leni, someone who's been blazing their own path through self-acceptance, self-expression, and not waiting for anyone else to hand them diagnosis or label. Quick heads up before we dive in, this is unfiltered, unsanitized with the occasional swearing. We don't do the polite performative crap here, just real people with real brains talking real life problems. So, Leni, thanks for joining the podcast today. Why don't we kick off with just introducing yourself, tell the guys what your day-to-day looks like as a neurodivergent, and yeah, we can go from there.
So my name's Leni. I'm currently self-diagnosed with ADHD, but I am on the pathway to get diagnosed through Right to Choose. I suspected that I've had it for maybe the last 2 years. I think I may well have autism as well, which would make me ADHD. But I'm going through the pathway for ADHD, and then I'll see whether I want to go through with it as well. But I would say at this stage, at least, I self-diagnose myself with both, because when I look into it, I can see a lot of things that make sense to me. But for me, it's really important to get a official diagnosis and to have people listen to me and say, yes, this is what you've got. This is why you do this. For my brain, I really seek that. And then I think just taking it from there, rebuilding my life in a way, because coming across pages like yourself or other people's, or reading podcasts, or not listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks, I'm like, I think I really relate with this. This makes sense, and that's what really made me want to look into it. I would say I struggle on a daily basis because I have two kind of sides to myself. So this is silly, but this is how I describe myself. So my full name's Leni, so that would be who I say I am, the external. But then I feel that there's two parts of me. My brain when it's in a depressive state, which I call Ethel, and then my ADHD brain, which I call Elsa, because she won't let it go. And I use this to, when I'm talking to friends and I don't want to say, oh, I feel depressed today or I feel hyper, I say, oh, Elsa's at it again. She just won't let me get on with the day. And to me, I would describe it as some periods of time I have loads of energy, as if my battery's at like 1050% over what they should be. And though this is helpful and you can get through a task, it's also like uneasy to feel like that. And people around you are like, oh, you're hyper, you're loud, you're this, you're that. And I know that it will be followed by a crash where I'll feel low in energy, I'll feel exhausted, I'll feel depleted, I need to be on my own to rest because my energy levels are so high that I can't really control how I feel the whole time. I never feel like this. I'm either like this or like this. And there's been periods where I'm like, is it bipolar? What is it? I've definitely been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, but looking into it and reading and hearing about women, a lot of women get misdiagnosed with anxiety and depression because they're very good at masking. And I'm definitely good at masking. And I think that when I told people around me, oh, I think I've got ADHD, I think I've got autism, they're like, no, you don't. I was like, why? Because you're thinking of a child running around, not being able to sit still. Like, open your minds a little bit and realize it's a spectrum, and women actually get misdiagnosed the whole time. And I think because they get misdiagnosed, they then feel the need to mask, to suppress what they're feeling, to not be able to be themselves. And yes, then the depression and the anxiety is more prevalent because of that. So it's been a journey. And I would say that since talking to my doctor and speaking to him and him saying, oh yeah, I think you've got ADHD. You've monologued for 7 minutes. You've come with like, I took 2.5 pages full of notes because I was so worried I wouldn't be believed. I read the whole notes to the doctor on the phone at fast speed, and he was like, you've said this, you've said that, you are describing someone with ADHD perfectly. And I'm like, okay, good. First hurdle passed. Now I want you to put me on Right to Choose, because for the last 2 years I've been thinking of doing it, and I was going to go private. I'd fill in the forms and then I'd be like, A, I don't think it's intense enough, and B, it's expensive. So I'm like, okay, let's one more time. Let's try Right to Choose. I have the right to choose. It's in the name. So let's give it a go. And in my brain, neurodivergent brain, when I got the list of people that I could go with, I picked the one in Leicester because I wasn't even looking at where it was. I was like, I like the website. They've got a short, and that's just That's just me. Do it and think after and panic about it after. And I'm like, that's okay. We'll figure it out. Thankfully, I think it's going to be video call. I've got people lined up to be there. But it's just the way I would describe it, it's exhausting. It's exhausting feeling like this. It's exhausting feeling that you experience life so intensely. In some ways, it's nice and it comes with creativity. It comes for me with empathy. It comes with enthusiasm. I'm very hardworking, but it's not easy to feel like this on a daily basis, which is why I'm like, no, I want to have that discussion. I want to get diagnosed. I want people to look at me in the whites of my eyes and say, yeah, we think you've got ADHD. Yeah, we think you've got might have autism. It might be because of this. It might be because of that. But even the forms, going through the right to choose forms was exhausting. There's so many. They wanted to know everything. I had to go back in time and remember what I was like as a child. I'm like, I don't remember. I don't remember what I had yesterday for dinner, let alone what I was like when I was 7. And it's interesting because they want to find the commonalities and the link between childhood and adulthood. But I think that I suppressed it then because if I was hyper, I'd probably be told, sit still, don't do this, don't do that. But I'm like, okay, but it isn't just that. It's the excessive talking or the worrying or the, all those things that come together that I'm like, I think it was there as a child, but because it was of a high functioning form, I don't think it got picked up. Because I watch like creators where you'll see like it's quite they have it of like quite a high, it's high the levels that they've got is quite high, and you're like, okay, yeah, people see these examples and they're like, but you can't have it. You talk 2 languages. You went to university. You did this. You did that. I said, well, do you know all my story? Do you want to know my story? Because I can open up and you won't believe it. I I present in a confident and happy way. And when I open up to people about what the other side of my brain is, they're like, we have no idea. And it's like, because you don't want to show that self. You hate that. I hate that side of myself. Why would I want to show the world that side? So what's been really helpful for me is connecting with people, you included, connecting with people, reading books, watching podcasts and being like, I'm not alone. This isn't in my head. This is real. And this might be why, because to me, knowing the why is as important as just accepting who I am and not feeling the need to mask anymore, because masking is exhausting and it's not always showing self-love. And I'm very good at showing empathy and self-love to others, but very bad at showing it to myself. And I just hope by talking that other people will be like, okay, I'm not alone. Like I thought that I was alone. I thought that it was just me that feels like this. And if we don't get the message out, people, it's just going to continue. It's just going to be a vicious cycle of other people feeling like that. I've gone completely off tangent, but this is life with me.
That's perfectly fine. It's the neurodivergent way. And to be fair, you didn't run as bad as a tangent as what you thought. So you
That's
mentioned
good.
there a lot. So you mentioned there a lot about connecting with others and this sort of
Yes.
self-discovery journey. When
Yes.
was it that sort of started? Was it a slow burner, or was there like a moment in your life where I was like, no, do you know what? This just doesn't add up now. I'm exhausted more than what I should be, and a light bulb moment, or was it a more of a digging about and seeing what matches sort of moment?
I think it was a slow burner. I think for years I felt like the outsider. I felt like the person that's strange, that's loud, that's this, that's that. And I think that social media for me and particular like Instagram in the last few years, coming across accounts with people and being like, that reel makes sense, that reel makes sense, and then kind of digging into it a bit more and slowly coming to terms with it. But I think now what I've realized, because I've come to a point where I accept myself, that when I make new friends, they tend to be neurodivergent. I think I just seem to the minute someone says I've got autism, I've got ADHD, I'm like, yay, we speak the same language. I don't need to explain why I'm fidgeting, why I've got a blanket when it's hot, why I, play with my hair. You understand, we speak the same language. And that to me is when I think of neurodivergent versus neurotypical, it's like being in a world where everyone speaks French and you speak Italian, but you understand some French, you know enough to get on with the world, but you speak a different language. And that to me is like finding new friends and making connections that are neurodivergent has been completely empowering. Or people that have children that are neurodivergent, or that kind of thing has been so helpful for me. And creating that kind of that safety pod of like, these are my people, these are people that I can connect with, and I don't need to put a mask on, I don't need to worry what they're going to think about me. So that for me has happened this year, I would say, because this year is the year that I'm like, I'm going to give it one more chance. I'm going to try and get diagnosed. And I'm well aware that I might come across high functioning. They might be like, no, you don't meet the criteria. And then it's up to me to decide whether I'm happy with self-diagnosing, whether I want to go for it again. But I think something within me this year has really changed. And it's as if I was thinking about it before the podcast. It's as if I feel like I've been reborn, because I feel like before I was holding on to a lot of shame, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety or anger of not being understood. And now I feel like the shackles are broken and I'm now being reborn to the person that I always was. And this is something internal. No one would realize it. Externally, I look the same, but internally, I feel so much lighter. And I just feel like I'm not fighting my mind every day. To some extent, yeah, you do. It's difficult. If I feel anxious, I have to put some music on or something to break that fear. But it's so nice to be like, okay, I actually kind of like myself. I actually kind of know that I bring value to the world, and it's powerful to feel like, okay, I've got a message here I can share and help other people to feel less alone, to feel less like that. I think for me, it's feeling like, as corny as it sounds, that I'm enough and that there actually isn't anything wrong with my brain. It's just that my brain is wired differently. If I hear a random word, I then want to sing the song that comes to mind. If someone writes down a word, I have to look up that song because my brain, like How Bizarre, I think of that song with How Bizarre. I can't help it. But then I used to hate this, but now I'm like, no, that's how my brain works. If it works for me and it makes me happy and I get the dopamine, why not? It's easier to accept yourself than fight how your brain works. That's what I've realized. And it's been a very powerful journey and exciting to think, okay, where do we go now? This is the new me. Where do we go?
No, do you know what? I think you hit the nail on the head as well with the whole this two language thing. You can have two people can have a communication and not
Yeah,
speak the same language and still
yes,
roughly understand what's going on. But
roughly,
it's
yeah,
also really nice to speak to someone who is fluent in your
in your
native tongue as
language.
such.
100%.
Yeah, and what also is really good to see that journey of sort of that self doubt now to self love. So really, like, what was the hardest bits for you in terms of that journey? What was probably the toughest part to shift, to make that mindset shift, to go, know what, I'm gonna accept it? Because for me, talking to everyone so far,
Yeah.
it's still quite foreign to me, even as a neurodivergent, how people have that struggle because, like I've said, I've always had that freedom to just be me and sort of
Right.
accept it. So the whole singing when you pick up a word, that's I've always done that and no one's ever told me to stop it, or they've sort of embraced it and I've always been allowed to be silly. So what was really the hardest bit for you to sort of fight that you were like, no, I shouldn't be doing this, to, no, do you know what? I'm going to embrace this.
I think it's fighting other people's standards, people around you, anyone that could be, external, similar, family, anyone, fighting that way of them seeing you to actually, I am my own person. I'm an adult now. I've done X, Y, and Z in my life. I'm progressing. This is who I am. And that for me, it's wonderful to hear that you were accepted like that. And to an extent, yes, I was, but certain ways, no, I wasn't, I feel. And that might be cultural, that might be generational, it could be anything. But for me, it was definitely a shift of, if someone believes a certain thing about me, that's okay, that's their opinion. I can't control that. What I can control is how I'm going to be towards myself. And it definitely has been a journey of self-discovery and self-love. It's not easy. For me, I'm very empathetic and I'm very good at showing other people love, but showing myself love or listening to my own advice, it's never been something that's easy, but it's something that I try to do more every day, to like practice it. And for me, the self-talk, the negative or the positive self-talk is something that I have to exercise. But I think in some ways for me it's been powerful to be like, someone said somewhere on a podcast about holding on to shame. I don't remember who it was, and the shame wasn't yours. And that's kind of how I feel like, I feel like I've held on to other people's beliefs or whatever, or what will people think if they do this or that. And I'm like, I don't really care anymore. Like, If people don't get me or don't like me, it's not my job. It's okay, you know. And I think that's been definitely has been a journey. Some things I feel has been easier than others. I mean, I've always been chatty, always been loud and giggly. Those things haven't really changed, but I think it's more internally, might be more self-belief. I think for me has been something it's still a journey, but it's been something that I think's got better over time. And then just surrounding myself from people that, like my friend says, they're one of us. And I'm like, oh, you're one of us. Okay, I know, that's fine. You got dyslexia. Welcome to the team. It's so nice. The minute someone says they're neurodivergent, not that I don't seek it, but I think now that I am somehow drawn towards it, and the friends that I have that maybe I don't know whether they're neurodivergent or neurotypical are people that accept me and have known me for a long time. But moving forward, I think I do gravitate, whether it's intentional or not, towards people that are neurodivergent, because to me it's just easier that we're starting from the same kind of point. If I have a problem with textures, if I'm out or eating or whatever, you just feel more understood, or at least I do. I don't feel that level of shame. And I think I've just decided to walk away from that feeling from anybody, as a new relationship or on any level, anybody that makes me feel any level of uncomfortableness or shame, I just walk away, and because it's not going to do me any good. That's at least how I approach it.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. And for me, I sort of look at it in this way in terms of the reason we find our tribe as such. It's because not only do we feel accepted, but we empathize. Like we know,
Yes,
like we empathize with others. Because do you know what? I get that, and
yes,
we don't tend to do what other people, say neurotypicals, would do and point
no,
it out that they're
yes,
doing something, and we
yes,
just naturally sort of gel together.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
but you're talking about self-love and self-acceptance. So what are like a couple of strategies that you've put into place since starting this discovery and this journey of self-acceptance? Is there things that you've changed and put into place to make sure that that's easier for you to do?
I mean, I wish I'd say I looked up foods that would be good to eat for an ADHD brain and ones that aren't. I don't always, I've seen the list. I don't always, I wouldn't say that I've got the nutrition down to a T, but exercise to an extent, but exercise in the way that makes sense to me. So going for a walk with a podcast, fast-paced walk, not putting myself under pressure. I used to go to the gym a lot, but I find that I'm kind of an all or nothing person. So it's finding something that maybe is low key that you can do often. Journaling, which again, I've sat here with my journal and I don't always do it. But also, I think things like internally, little things for me, like waking up, making the bed, emptying my bin, bringing down the glasses, having a shower, washing my hair, those kind of showing self-love at the beginning of the day, getting ready with my drinks, usually three or four, that kind of gets setting the pace. And the self-talk for me was a big one. Just being aware of how I'm feeling, being aware if I'm feeling hyper, being aware of what I eat. I've noticed that if I'm feeling hyper and then I have sugar, my hyperness gets worse. So trying to really, I try to, I'm not always on it, but with my nutrition. So in terms of like trying to eat breakfast, I find is really important for me, because sometimes I'm really bad and I'll just have 4 penguin bars and wonder why I'm bouncing off the wall because of all the sugar. So it's like, okay, let's have some toast, let's have an egg. And I kind of reward myself. It sounds silly, but with Snickers, I find that Snickers work for me. But nutrition definitely is something that I have noticed. If I eat more veg, I try and have more frozen veg, because I'm really bad for buying fresh veg and then it's like having this mega idea of let's do this, let's do that. And it's like, but my brain, I don't know what my brain's going to be like that on that day. So frozen veg for me is like, okay, at least I've got a bit of my five a day, fruit, toast, wholemeal toast, eggs, that kind of thing, the protein, because I've definitely noticed. I mean, it makes sense, but it's noticed that, okay, yeah, my brain doesn't like it when it has a lot of sugar. I just go like that. And then the crash comes. So, I mean, yeah, nutrition is one that I'm working on, but it's definitely something that I've been more aware of this year. Still like my crisps, I still like a fizzy drink, but I'm definitely trying to eat more salmon, more veg, but making it work for me, because if I have some elaborate plan of I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I won't keep it up, because by the end of the day, I'm so exhausted. That's when I usually reach for like a takeaway or something that's not going to give me any nutrition and won't help. And it isn't even weight for me. It's just being kind to my brain. Like what is going to help my brain and what isn't. It's like, oh yeah, of course I feel hyper the whole time. I'm eating all this, I'm having all this sugar. It's like antioxidants like blueberries or things like that. And I think just being kind to yourself in the process and being realistic that you don't have to change Rome in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day anyway. Frozen veg I know I go on about it, but it's revolutionized my life because it's like, oh, chuck it all in. And sometimes if I don't get the mixed veg, I'll put a bit of sweet corn, put a bit of this, and I'm like, veg, eat. And I'm like, oh, thank you. My brain thanks me when I look after my nutrition. It doesn't thank me when I have a lot of sugar. And that's something that I've realized this year. And I may well have been doing this for years, but it's this year that I've realized that it's not so much about this isn't healthy for my brain. It's this does something to my brain. It changes the chemistry. It just skyrockets. So I'm like, okay, let's have this. I find it hard eating breakfast because I'm not always hungry in the morning. So I'm like, okay, have some crackers. I find that textures for me seems to work. The crunch of something, if I'm having just dry crackers, which might look boring, but my brain's like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's like, it's things that I've really leaned into and realized that certain textures work for me, certain things work for me in certain in certain settings. If I'm outside of my house, I get quite nervous being in public spaces, and white bread seems to work for me better. I don't know if it's a texture thing. It's leaning into that. I haven't got it completely nailed, but I definitely think I've got into a better habit with the cooking and the kind of, yeah. So that's part of it.
You said it. You said it there. You really did. It's all about doing things that work for you, and it's
Yeah,
more about being persistent rather than consistent. Because us
yeah,
neurodivergents, we hear consistent, and you have to do this every day, and you're already thinking about day 5, and you're like, I'm gonna hate it by then. So, what's the best thing to do? Just do it as and when you remember,
yeah,
which is going to be a lot better for you than when you fall off the wagon and you really can't be asked because now you can't even face to even look at anything remotely healthy or whatever
yeah.
it is you've decided to do. So, like you said, you've just got to make it work for you, um,
100%.
and did and move it around and eat what makes you feel good, eat what makes you feel good, and yeah, once you've got that down, then you can worry about if weight loss is your journey or a strength journey
Exactly.
or if nothing is. Yeah, create that getting used to get, without sounding like harsh, getting used to failing because we
Yeah,
are so hard on ourselves
$100%.
when we slip up, and that's the thing. I think that is the key, and you've said it there. It's getting used to things changing, thinking on your feet, like not having to worry about if you have a crap day or one week you don't hit your 3 day split or whatever it is you've decided to do, and not beating yourself up for it for 3 weeks and just going, you know
100%.
what, it's just a one off. We'll just crack
100%.
on with it the next opportunity.
100%. One thing also that I thought about is kind of meal prepping. I'm trying to meal prep. So learn to like do some cooking on one day. I learned not to put too much spice in my chili con carne because I was sweating the next day. But just having fun with like, it's also economical, but also like, right, I've got my kidney things, I've got my protein, I've got my this, I've got my that, and that kind of thing is helping for me as well. But it is a journey. And what you said about if you fall off the wagon one day, it's better to be like, okay, I'll try again tomorrow than do it. I can't do anything, though I need structure, I cannot do anything that regimented. It doesn't work for my brain. There has to be more of an as and when I think my body needs it, when I think my brain needs it. And it's kind of understanding that it's personal, you know, it's a personal journey, but it definitely has made a difference. And to others, they're like, well, yeah, you had 4 penguin bars. Why did you think you were hyper? And I was like, didn't know it was the sugar. I just thought it was me. So it is all linked. I found it is all linked, but it is a journey to getting there. Salmon, I love salmon, so I have that. And kind of like brown pasta or that wholemeal pasta, that kind of thing. So yeah, nutrition I would say is a good one, and water, which I'm also bad at doing, but I try to remember when I can. Or I trick my brain and go, "You've got water in your coffee, it's fine." It isn't, but there you go. Yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of like just sticking with the nutrition thing, a lot of it is I think not realized how much dopamine plays a part of it. Like who
Yeah,
really wants unless you enjoy drinking water, it's flavorless.
yeah,
Who's going to choose that over something else? Or even for me, like you mentioned meal prep and
yeah.
coming from a personal trainer, I hate meal prep because I
Really?
hate eating food that's been cooked and left to cool
Yeah,
and reheating or recooking food. I don't like it. I've never had.
right,
So I don't meal prep. Thankfully for me though,
right.
I love to cook, so that's not a big issue.
Yeah,
So it is really horses for courses. Not only do you have that mentality, for neurodivergence, there's so many different sort of things that affect what we do as well. So there's so many variables that we have to consider, and
yeah,
that is why a lot of neurotypical advice doesn't work, and hence
yeah.
hence my
100%,
my social media.
100%. 100%, 100%. And that's what I like about what you're saying is that this won't work, but this will work, and it's all linked. It's all linked to together because that's part of me. I don't really like the reheating. I mean but then also I don't like the fact that every night I have to think what I'm going to cook, and I don't know what level of energy I'm going to have. So it's kind of thinking a quick salmon's a good one because it doesn't take too much time, or microwave rice, that kind of thing. Thinking, okay, this meal might not be 100% nutritious, but it's better than having whatever, having the takeaways. Yeah, it's an interesting one, food and being neurodivergent, because I sometimes forget to eat. I'm really bad. If I'm focused on something, I'm like, oh yeah, food. Oh, okay, maybe I'm hungry. I need to eat. If I'm so laser hyper focused on something, I will forget to eat.
Yeah, so my sort of like I suppose my get around for the whole meal prep thing, like you said, just not having. I actually plan
Mm.
7 meals. So I plan 7 meals. I
Right,
have them all the ingredients ready to go, and on my
yeah,
fridge is a menu. So it's got
right,
7 meals, and then there I'll just pick one, or if I'm struggling, I'll get the wife to pick one, or I'll get the
yeah,
kids to pick one, or if I know that one day is going to be a really short time for me to cook, then I'll pick that one.
yes,
So that's how I technically meal prep. I have 7 meals and I shop for those 7 meals
right,
and they're ready to go. And if I know, for instance, right, I've only got 40 minutes to cook, I'll pick the one that's going to just be maybe bung stuff in the oven,
yeah,
or it's going to be I only need to cook this one ingredient and then I can microwave some like rice or whatever. So
yeah, yeah.
that's how I
Okay,
personally
I
meal
like
prep for
that.
my
Yeah, I
neurodivergent
like
brain.
that. Do you find that with the 7 meals, is that the same 7 meals each week, or do you mix them up?
I try and vary them up, mostly because I just obviously with the kids, I want to
Yeah,
try and expose them to many different meals as possible.
yeah.
I tend to have a meat dish, a fish dish, a chicken dish, and then the rest are like whatever. We do have like our pizza and wings
Oh,
day every week
I
because it's a
love
family thing
that.
where we sit in front of the movies, like sit in
Yeah,
front of the TV. But other than that, I'll ask the family, right, what do you want? Right, if they say, oh, we want mac and cheese, all right, then I will pick a non-pasta dish or a non-whatever dish and
right.
plan it like that. So there's some varied, but I'm a nightmare. I would literally write the same 7 down. So I have a secondary list of meals that I can go
Oh,
through because
okay.
I forget. I just
Yeah,
forget what meals even exist. So I
I
have a
know.
secondary list in a notebook.
I love
So
that.
yeah, so it's mad.
Yeah.
But yeah. But
Okay.
just moving on a bit, you said that when you were going through your self discovery, you found sort of your tribe on social media, which is quite a dangerous place for some of us with like doom
Can be.
scrolling.
You have to be very careful. Yeah.
Yeah, how did you find that you managed to shift that mindset from doom scrolling to make it actually work and help you discover? Did you have to say curate your feed, or did it just happen over time?
I think it happened over time. A massive thing for me is therapy. So therapy and learning to self-reflect. I feel like I've got quite good at self-reflecting and just taking advice from people around me that I trust. And then I definitely haven't curated what I do. I just seem to now gravitate towards things. But I think there was years of doom scrolling, of just watching things and being kind of passive with it. I think it's been I feel this year I've become more intentional with it, more intentional with, okay, I want to discover myself. Okay, I'm allowed to go on this journey, like not feeling like selfish that I'm doing it, because I think sometimes when I see other people on social media, or maybe children, or hear of children, or people that are really like not suffer but experience it, then I think I'm like, but but should I be doing this? And is that selfish to be doing that? And I think for me, the right to choose has really helped, because I've, from the minute I made the decision, which was like last month, things have moved quite quickly. But that was 2 years of thinking about it and not doing it. 2 years of being like, I think, or like kind of edging towards it. So I would go towards clinics, or like people that would do it, and inquire to do it privately, because I wasn't aware of right to choose, and then being like, oh no, that's a lot of money. Like, should I be doing that? And I haven't really got it that intensely, because if I did, it would have been picked up. So that was about 2 years of a dialogue in my head of really wanting to do it, but not feeling that I deserved to do it. And then hearing about it and hearing that it's quite a quick process, I'm like, okay, let's just give it a go. You've got nothing to lose. The worst that you can be told by a doctor is they don't think they don't think you've got it, or but you've got your right to choose, so you can ask. So for me, even the phrase right to choose really helped me to be like, no, I've got the legal right, if I'm registered with a GP, to choose who I want to be diagnosed by. The system is there. And for me, that brain and that evidence really worked for me. And that has really helped me. And I think since then, maybe I do curate, or I do like definitely doom scroll, but I do pick, I think the feed, once you start liking certain things, you then get sent other things. The algorithm then kind of curates itself. And I do find it very comforting. And I've got a folder on my Instagram of just ADHD, ADHD, life, all these different things. And every time I see something that I think I might want to go back to on a bad day or an ethyl day, I will look at it and I'll be like, look at that. This is you. That's okay. And that way I've curated, I would say, what I expose myself to, because I think it's important to feed your brain with positive things, because there's so many negative things in the world, war, famine, all the rest of it. There's wildfires in Cyprus at the moment. So all those things we're exposed to, but it's like we have to have some, I think for me, take some responsibility to what I'm feeding myself. So creating those folders and saving everything. So like if there's a reel that I found really, for example, there was this video, and it was this guy listening to music, and he said anybody that's got ADHD, and it was layered music, so it's different tracks. They were like, what does this do to your brain? So I just wrote, oh, it energizes my brain, but it also calms my brain. And within the last month, I've had nearly 200 people like that comment. I'm like, oh, so I'm not alone. Other people have been like, oh, that doesn't work for my brain. But for me, that layered music, if I need to like really get the dopamine going, I listen to it. And I'm like, people are still liking. It's just one line, one comment, and people going, yeah, I feel the same. Or like the fact that so many people liked one line of my thoughts, who I don't know these people. I'm like, okay, maybe it's not all in my head. And that really helped me. But certain people, like neurodivergent people, were saying in the comments, I hate this. This doesn't work for my brain. But for me, it's getting that dopamine. And sometimes I'll go on Spotify and be like, oh, I need like layered music. I need a bit of this. I need a bit of that. I need to like get in the mode of what I've got to do, because this task is low dopamine, but I need to get in the sweet spot. So that for me was powerful. I mean, I still get likes on this comment, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe that. I cannot believe that one line of my thoughts has so many people liking it. And that's powerful. You think, okay, it's not in my head. Okay, it's all right.
Now, someone actually sent that to me as well, and
Yeah.
it's and like I said, it's Marmite. To me, I did not like it one bit. It made me angry.
Really?
Yeah, it made me so angry
Wow.
because the tempo and the beats weren't in sync. There was too much difference between the tempo and the noise and things like that, and it just didn't match up. But again, it led to a conversation to the person who sent me this, who's also
Yeah.
neurodivergent.
Yeah.
I was like, no, this is not nice for me.
No.
It's not working for my brain. It makes me uncomfortable, but
Yeah.
it shows how powerful something like music and
Yeah.
tone and other things that people take for granted for
Yeah.
a neurodivergent brain, how much it can affect our mood. And that's like I said, what's
100%.
it, 30-second clip of two tunes overlaid,
Yeah.
and it gives me the right up.
That is fascinating because I showed it to one of my friends. I was like, this works for me. Does it work for your brain? She was like, no. I was like, that's so interesting because so many people in the comments were quite divided. There were people going, I'm neurodivergent and this doesn't work for me. And other people going, no, it does. And it shows. That to me shows so clearly a clear example of how it's a spectrum. We're not all like
Yeah,
this. We can be neurodivergent and speak the same language, but like there's dialects, right? There's an American accent, there's a Northern accent, there's this, there's that. And so even within the community, there's different like strains or whatever of it. And that to me was like, I'm glad you know what flip I mean, because that to me, I mean, I think of it now and I'm like, woo, it's in my head.
again, it's that. And I think there are some neurodivergents out there, and so it's not just dedicated to neuro like typicals who refuse to accept the spectrum side of it, who refuse to, oh, you're not severe, or you don't do this, or you don't do this because I'm diagnosed and I do this, so you must do this. And it's like, no, like for me, and I've probably mentioned it a few times, I've worked with roughly 2,000 people.
Wow.
Most of these are neurodivergent as well, with other
Okay.
mental health conditions, and not one single person was the same, even with similar labels, even with similar traits. Not one of
Yeah.
them was the same. I could not put two people out of these 2,000 people together and go, "Oh, you're spot on. You're exactly like each other the way you behave."
Yeah.
And that again, I'm very blessed. It's a privilege I've had to experience, but it does annoy me when people just like shut up, go, no, you can't be autistic because you don't do this, or you can't be ADHD because you do this, or other forms of neurodivergence because you don't tick all of these boxes that I tick. And I've officially got a diagnosis, so that means that my way is the only way. And
Yeah.
that really frustrates me
Me too.
because that put a lot of self doubt on me for years. And
Yeah.
it's probably like my content started getting better once I got diagnosed because
Yeah,
I
of
was more
course.
confident about people shutting me down.
Of
Um,
course.
but I haven't not had it. I did not have it up to diagnosis.
No,
And
exactly. It's still there. It's
people
just
like yourself who
officially
are
been
self-diagnosing
diagnosed.
and going
Yeah,
on, yeah, and you're self-diagnosed, you're going on the journey, and like I said, regardless of the outcome, this is something that you believe in and you have every right to. Um,
exactly.
and no one else has a right to take that away until they
No.
can scientifically go, this is it, and you'll go, yeah, okay, fair enough. Right, what's the next part of the journey then?
Yeah.
But that's a part of like social media that really annoys me, that
Yeah,
people
me
can be
too.
too opinionated.
Yeah,
Um,
it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous. It is dangerous. Sorry, I interrupted, neurodivergent brain.
no, no, no.
It's dangerous, especially if someone, I think, not speaking about anyone in particular, if someone's got a platform, even if they haven't got a platform, even if someone in your circle of any extent, family, whatever, says this, that can be so damaging to someone that is feeling negative about it anyway. And they're like, well, such and such has this degree or has this. I respect this person. They obviously will know because we're all our own individual person, which is why, like you said, you haven't met anyone that's the same because we're still our person. We are still Eleni, we're still James, but we have these kind of traits that make us fall into these categories or whatever. And also, I think the other thing when people go, but if you label yourself, you'll become lazy, and it's like, well, no, because I'm not lazy, so I won't. It's actually labels that are important. If you've got something labeled as hot, that's important because otherwise you're going to burn your hand. To me, having the label is actually important. Cold, hot, whatever. Mine will be neurospicy, like sparkles. But to me, it's actually important having the label, having the doctor or whoever, psychiatrist, whoever wants. I don't care who's in the room when I have that chat or get diagnosed. I just want people to go, okay, yes, this is it, and also this is what might help you. These are your options. You could do medication. You could do this. You could. I think one of the options was like CBT, which I've done. Don't particularly want to do it again, but you could work with a coach. All these different things. For me, it's like this is how your brain works, and this is what will help your brain. This is what won't help your brain, and this is what you want to tell people if you're in a new job, if you want to go for this, if you want to go for that, if you meet people. For me, it's all linked. So for me, the labels are important. And I know that, but having that discussion with someone that's maybe like, I don't like labels, it's like, okay, just gonna step back now. Maybe I'm not gonna hang out with you, or if you're like, got to hang out with you because you're a family member type thing, maybe I'm gonna like be more careful to share this stuff because I don't really, feel safe, or maybe we can just say we don't agree and that's fine. But to me, the label is about understanding my brain, and then about what can I do to help my brain. The same way that, someone's got a heart condition, they take this, they take that. I think that because for me, it's kind of like linked with the mental health stuff. I feel like there's a stigma. So it's like, why is there such a stigma around these things? We're in 2025, but it feels like with other things, it's like, well, you've got a label, you're diabetic. That's a label. How is that okay? And you're telling me that something that I feel I self-diagnose as ADHD isn't okay. Like, come on, that's not right. That, or at least that's what I see. My opinion.
No, that was beautifully said, because when I was going through my journey, I would constantly label myself, change my label to adapt to how I feel if I learned
Yeah,
something new or something sort of like has come out in their scene. So my very, very first label was social anxiety with a
right.
subcategory of approval to seek approval anxiety, because that's
All
what was
right.
showing the most.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
people pleasing behavior was showing the most.
yeah,
But then it was in an era where people like don't do labels. Labels are you're offending people by labeling them. You
yeah.
shouldn't label yourself because it's
No,
offensive. But
no.
even like you said, even in the physical health world, we have labels for conditions we do
Yeah,
not know. So we put
no.
a label on it. It's like, we have no idea what's wrong with you. Here's a label.
Yeah,
And we do it with mental health as well. Here's a
yeah,
labels. Labels, like you said, are just a form of categorizing a way of how to treat something. And I think if more people, more acceptance of that, yeah, they'll be able to treat themselves. Like if you were to go, right, I'm going to live the next X amount of years as someone with ADHD, I'm going to use these techniques and I'm going to see my life better. If not, then I'm going to revisit it. And that was my journey in a nutshell. That's what I did.
right.
I'm 30. I started my journey
I'm
when I was
38.
I started my journey when I was 26, roughly, and it was
Right,
because
okay.
someone went, yeah, you're probably a bit mental, and they were already in the world. Yeah, they
Right.
were already in the world, and they're extremely close friends still. And we worked for a whole year to discover what the very first label
Wow.
was, and then from then on, we just embraced it, and we worked together, and we ran a business together.
That's
Um,
lovely.
and it was just backwards and forwards. And then until one day, and I messaged him. He was one of the first person I messaged, going, "I'm going for a diagnosis," and he was like, "Fair enough, you don't need one. I know that
I
it's
can
you.
tell
You don't
you've
need
got
one,
it.
but yeah, yeah, whatever you want." And then
Yeah,
yeah, and it's one of those things. It's you need to experiment, because especially with the
100%.
NHS, you're fortunate to have a less than a year waiting list, even
I
with
am
right to
so
choose
fortunate. I am
now.
so fortunate. I know that. I know that.
I was
I
lucky.
know.
Mine was done in about 10 months, maybe even less. I was extremely
Okay.
lucky. Um, and again, it's all about what works for you, and trying to not keep people at arm's length, but also trying to get the right people around. And like you said earlier, you tend to resonate. Your friends tend to resonate with what you do. So sort of like, are you finding now that you're surrounding yourself by around people who are neurodivergent, and you're embracing that you're able to embrace yourself a bit more? Is that allowed?
Yes.
Does it improve your journey of self discovery?
Yes. And also, what I found that I am better expressing how I feel, because usually I would have very strong emotions. I'd feel upset, I'd feel whatever, but I wouldn't be able to vocalize it. So, with my cousin, for example, I will she'll suggest something like a plan, and I'll go, actually, that doesn't really work for my brain because of X, Y, and Z. And if we do this, that will work for my brain better because when we do this, I feel like this. And she's like, oh, well, thank you for telling me. But getting to that point of being able to say that's okay for me to do, that's okay for me to vocalize how I feel has been difficult because I have like chronic, I would say, people pleasing, not wanting to let people
Yeah,
down or worried if I do let people down, they will abandon me. So that's something I feel like I've really learned this year, to just put boundaries in place to keep myself safe and know that the people, the right people, and the people that really love and care for me will understand that. And it's just clearly just saying, this is what works for me, this is what doesn't. And that's something that's really helped me, I found this year.
So we've touched on therapy, we've touched on friendship, we've touched on social media, but what we haven't actually touched on is the book you're writing. Is that right?
Yes, it is right. It was a moment of hyper focus. One Saturday afternoon, I just went, I feel like writing a book. I've always felt like writing a book. And I'm like, which is ironic because I don't really read, but I like writing and like expressing myself. I was like, let's write a book about my life. So I've just started and I've written 4 chapters, absolutely chaotic. It may completely change. I could feel myself going to slip into a hyper focus and I'm like, I need to get out. I've got stuff to do. This is something I've learned that it's okay if I put something on hold. It's okay if I revisit it. And I think that now that I'm going through the diagnosis process, I may well feel encouraged to keep writing. But I think I want it to be some sort of neurodivergent, spicy book. Maybe I don't want to call myself an influence because I'm not, but maybe some sort of guidance book. I'm wary to call it self-help book because who am I? But some sort of, if you feel like this, it's okay, and this is what might help you book. It may well change, but I know that I want it to inspire people and help them so they feel less alone. And I want to have an audio book because I've always said with my friend, if either of us have an audio book, we do an audio book version. Because as someone who identifies as neurodivergent, I find it very difficult to read myself. So I would be hypocritical if I didn't make a audiobook version. So someone that feels neurodivergent can just listen to it on the train because that's what I do with books. I kind of like it in the background. I can stop it, I can start it. So I know that it wants to look like that. I've got a working title, but I need the diagnosis to officially for myself to do it. But I can picture it and it's exciting. But yeah, I guess let's be an author.
So is it a book? Did you say it's a book about your life, or just it sort of inspired by it?
I feel like it's inspired by my life, and then it's touching on mental health and touching on being a bilingual child because my dad's from Cyprus, my mum's from England, so I speak Greek. So it starts there, talks about my cousin, who I said I would give a shout out. My cousins, I love my cousins, all of them. They know who they are. They're in the book, and like people that have inspired me, and then going on the journey. So I think it will be about me, but then also mental health and being neurodivergent. But I didn't want to write fiction. I think I'd need some sort of course. I've thought about doing courses and I thought, well, I could write about myself. That's something that I know. So yeah, not exactly a self-help book, but maybe a self something book. That's my plan. It may well change in 6 months, but I think I want it to be something fun that people can pick up and maybe we'll have some sort of guidance section of what to do, helplines, that kind of thing. And I know I want an audio book because I know that that's what I helps me. So I want it to be something that people can be like, okay, I can relate to this. I want it to be relatable. And I think having an audio book, you can express yourself on it so they can hear your voice. And I think for me, it helps to be able to have someone read it to me, to hear their voice, especially if it's an actor or someone that I really like. I like feeling like I'm walking around. I was in Cyprus listening to an audiobook and I'm like, I like this. This works for my brain. And I think that a lot of neurodiverse people are the same. So it wouldn't be fair if I released a book and didn't have an audiobook. So I know that far, but we shall see. Watch the space, as they say.
100%. And to be fair, I do prefer audiobooks, and I will often use films similar to audiobooks. I don't,
Yes,
if I've got something on in the background, I'll put a film on and I'll listen to it over watching it. But
100%.
have you found the writing has helped you reflect and understand your story like a bit
Yes,
differently?
yes. So when I was getting ready for I call it my interview with the doctor. It was a 5 minute conversation that became 20 because I monologued for half of it, writing down my feelings. I was crying. I was crying as I was writing it, but I felt so much lighter. So for me, writing helps me reflect, and then I have something to look back on. So even if this book, nothing comes of it, which I'd like something to come of it, but it helps me reflect. So writing for me has always been something I've enjoyed. And now I feel like I just want to kind of share it with the world in the hope that it will inspire at least one person. Like, it's fine. Just someone hear it or come across it on the feed or whatever and be like, I'm not alone. I'm not broken here. And I think that's why it's important if that I feel this way. So I'm like, let's share it. Let's share it with the world. It's okay to do that just by being authentically myself, not trying to be anything that I'm not, because I don't really read and I really struggle to sit down and read a book because I can't focus. But like you said, if I've got a film, especially if it's a comfort show, if I've got something to do, I just put it in the background and actually that focuses my brain. If it's a show like Friends or whatever that I've seen millions of times, I don't need to watch it. I've got it in the background. I've got
Yeah.
my friends there. I can get on now. I can focus with writing the book or whatever. So for me, audio really helps me. So I will use my own voice to help other people, hopefully.
And in classic neurodivergent fashion, how have you managed to balance that sort of honesty and boundaries? Because I know that sometimes we just like to overshare and then realize after the fact that we might have said a bit too much.
I struggle with this. And even before I came on the podcast, I'm like, I am an open book. This is who I am. Like, this is going to go out to people. I need to dial it back a bit and like be a little bit filtered. Not, I think it's just having awareness of it, talking to people around you, maybe friends saying, there's this, there's that. But notes for me, I write notes for everything. Before the podcast, I wrote my notes down, got a little script. Anything that I approach, I write notes with, because notes is my way of preparing before anything. And then I've kind of got a guide, and I may well put my foot in my mouth, but it's having a some sort of script, some sort of guideline before I go into anything, any kind of meeting. I put an offer down on a flat, and it's a joke now, I think, with the estate agents that I sent an email with 16 questions before I viewed the flat, because I knew that if I didn't, I'd be like, oh, nice flat, my brain will just stop. So I found that preparing for me really works. And it's a joke now that I prepare for everything. I write notes, prepare. There's no real order to it, but I have to kind of, writing for me has been very powerful, which is why the book of whatever sort, there's no real, like, I don't know if the grammar's perfect. At this stage, I'm just getting it out there, getting the message out there and then refine later. But that process of just writing has been very freeing, and then we can filter and check everything afterwards with an editor or whoever. But the verbalness has always been there, and I am aware of it. And it is difficult sometimes because I'll be like, I'll overshare and then think about it. I'll be like, I said that. That's so bad. And then I'll be like, I'm so sorry I said that. And they're like, it's okay. I think it's also surrounding yourself by people that get you really helps. And also, I think admitting when you make a mistake. So if you say something wrong, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to. It's just, I'm not excusing myself, but my brain works in a certain way where what I think comes out of my mouth, and afterwards I'm like, I should have said that. And I think self-reflection but being kind to yourself are things that have really helped me. But yeah, I've always been like this. I've always talked a lot, but realizing that maybe the talking a lot is a neurodivergent thing. It's not just a me thing, has helped me, because basically my brain, if I think of my brain, there's a train track and the thoughts will come round, but then there's a monkey in the corner with symbols and it's colourful and sparkly, and that's my brain. My brain isn't just like peace. I wish it was. It is like chaos in there, probably 24/7 until I crash out like a child. So I'll be like, it's okay, I'm high now, but soon the crash will come and I will have a nap and I will exhaust myself. That's how I feel sometimes. I feel like a child on candy floss, hyped up on candy floss. And I get so excited that I just want to share all these thoughts. The other thing that I do is if someone's, which I know is neurodivergent, if someone's saying, oh, I don't know, a story about, I don't know, eating mangoes, I'll be like, oh, I went here on holiday and I had this. And it's my way of showing that I relate with the topic and that I'm excited and I'm engaged with you, and you're sharing your mango story and I'm sharing mine. But to others, it's like, oh, she's so rude. Let me tell my mango story. And I'm like, oh, sorry. But yeah, that's just, got to be kind to yourself.
No, 100%. So, Lenny, what I like to do is I like to ask my guests this question.
Go on.
Someone is on the start of their journey, their neurodivergent journey. You might know this person, it might come from social media. What's that one little bit of advice that you wish you known at the start of your journey that you think that they could just like latch onto and hopefully help them ease that transition into self-discovery?
Don't be afraid to lean into what you think is your truth. And I don't think I'll be inundated from texts. If someone is listening to this and wants to reach out to me to have a conversation, I'm happy to help guide someone and have that conversation if it will help them. But be true to yourself and to what you believe. If you believe that you want to look into this, look into it. No matter what anybody says, all that matters is your truth and how you feel. And if someone's listening to it and it's like this resonates, go for it. The process is there. If you want to go private, go private. If you want to self-diagnose, self-diagnose. If you want to know and have the piece of paper and you live in the UK, go for right to choose, but don't be afraid don't hold yourself back by telling yourself that this doesn't matter to you, that this isn't important, because I did that for 2 years and it does no favors. I think also knowledge is power. So really looking into your options. So whether you want to self-diagnose and then work with a coach, look into it. Don't jump into anything before you're sure, because I think there can be a lot of different things out there and you need to really make sure you're making the right decision for you and just follow your truth. Follow what you believe is right for you and you want to do, and don't be afraid. Don't let anybody hold you back.
No, yeah, that's amazing advice, and it brings back like two quite vivid memories. First was when you first come across my page and you reached out, and we had quite a long conversation, probably across a couple of days, which is fine. It's like it's exactly what it should be. Like that's why I made the page, to help
Yes,
people reach out
yes,
to me. And the other bit is like working with coaches as a business provider, as a coach that provides a service. You
yes,
just get, oh, you have to do this, you have to cold DM this, and you have to, and I'm like, no, my people, my tribe do not respect that.
no,
Trust needs to be built long
yes,
before
yes,
anyone's going to hire me for any sort of service.
yes,
And I needed to respect that and accept that my business as a coach is going to be a slow burner, and I'm
yes,
happy with that. But other people were not. They're like, no, if you DM Ned or if you do that, and you're like, whoa, no, this is not how these like neurodivergents work. Like trust is a massive factor, but I
massive.
guarantee it will be most clients would be life clients, hopefully, because they'll trust in what I do
The
and we'll build
rapport
that
will be
rapport.
there.
Yeah, and that again, don't feel like you need to rush into it. Do your research,
Do
check
your
someone out,
research. Yeah,
and really, like you said, lean into something, because nothing can go wrong really leaning into something other than
no,
you upset someone that doesn't believe it, and that's a them problem, not a you problem.
yeah, 100%.
But no, that bit of advice is absolutely gold. And Len, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
You too,
So
Joe.
can you tell the guys where they can find you, where they can follow along with your book? Is it social
Well,
media you want them to go to?
yeah,
What's the catch?
Lenny and then Aggie. I hope you put it somewhere here, or wherever.
Yeah, yeah.
Shove it somewhere. Yeah, I hope that when I'm ready to share the book, I'll start putting things out there. Maybe I feel more confident to talk about things more and make videos. But I think for me, the diagnosis is important, like you said, with yourself. And so once I get the diagnosis, I might become more active in that way and have more conversations with people. But yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you as well.